spring. Mushrooms grow in a fairy ring. Little toadstools, brown and white, reappear in the pale moonlight. Spring is here, now it's spring. Fairies dance all in a ring. Spring is here, now it's spring. Fairies dance all in a. Spring is here, now it's spring. Fairies dance all in a ring. Spring is here, now it's spring. Fairies dance in a fairy ring.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm the Story Fairy, and this is my friend Dusty the Dragon.
Hi, everybody! Merry Christmas! Ho, 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 ho!
Dusty, would you like to hear a story?
Boy, oh boy, would I?
Great. It's story time.
Yay!
Truffle's Christmas by Anna Curry. Christmas was coming. All the little mice had finished their letters to Santa. All that is, except for Truffle. He couldn't decide what he wanted. I'd really love a hula hoop, but I wished we had a blanket, a nice new blanket without any holes. But there again, you'll have to decide, said Emmeline, his big sister, who always knew best, or Santa won't bring you anything. Here, you'd better start again. Oh, all right, a hula hoop then, said Truffle, throwing away his letter. He put his new letter into an envelope and addressed it to... What does that say, Dusty?
Looks like Santa Claus, North Pole.
On Christmas Eve, the mice hung their stockings up in a neat row. I'm getting a nurse's uniform, announced Emmeline. I'm getting a chemistry set, said George, Truffle's big brother. The littlest mice squeaked excitedly. They wanted teddy bears. Then all of the mice went off to bed. Mother Mouse put their blanket over them and tucked them in. It wasn't a very big blanket and didn't quite cover them all. Emmeline got most of the blanket because she was the oldest, then George, then Truffle. But the littlest mice were always right on the edge. They lay shivering in the cold. So Truffle gave them his part of the blanket, but then he got cold. Father, said Truffle, as he stared out into the darkness, I wished I'd asked for a blanket and not a hula hoop. Father, I know, he said, suddenly sitting bolt upright. I'll wait for Santa to tell him I've changed my mind. Truffle crept out of bed and tiptoed to the mouse hole door. There he waited and waited, but Santa didn't come and didn't come. It's no use here, grumbled Truffle. I'll go outside where I can see farther. Oh, I'd better take something to eat in case I get hungry. He packed an apple core, a bread crust, and half a peanut, and he went off into the night dragging his picnic behind him. It was very cold. As he waited for Santa, Truffle became hungry, so he unpacked his picnic. First, he ate his bread crust very slowly. Then he ate his apple core very, very slowly. Then, finally, he ate his peanut half very, very slowly. But still, Santa did not come. Truffle stood up and brushed his whiskers. I'll go to that hill over there where I can see Santa, and Santa can see me, he said firmly, and plodded off. In the woods, a fox barked, and an owl hooted. A tabby cat pricked up her ears. Truffle was scared, but he trudged on and on. The clouds covered the moon. The candle in Truffle's lantern went out. It was very dark. Truffle felt all alone and very tired. He sat down and tried to watch for Santa, but his eyes kept shutting. Softly, it started to snow. Truffle fell asleep. Now, said the fox, before the snow covers him entirely. Now, said the owl, before the greedy fox gets him. Now, said the tabby cat, because I'm very, very hungry. Then, just before the fox jumped, and the owl swooped, and the tabby cat pounced, there was a tinkling and jingling of sleigh bells. There was a rattling and creaking of harnesses. There was a pattering and shuffling of hooves, but Truffle was fast asleep and didn't notice a thing until a reindeer snorted in his face. Eek, squeaked Truffle. What's this? Said Santa. A mouse? A poor little mouse? How cold you are! Truffle shivered. Why aren't you tucked up in bed? Asked Santa. I came to find you, mumbled Truffle, still half asleep and rather mumbled. I wanted a hula hoop, but we really need a blanket. Said Santa. I think it's time I took you home. He tucked Truffle into his pocket. And away they went, over the fox, the owl, and the tabby cat, over the forest and the hills, over the fields and the hedges, and they didn't touch ground until they reached Truffle's home. Truffle was asleep again, so fast asleep that he didn't even stir when Santa fished him out of his pocket and returned him to his mouse hole. Santa's hand brushed against a little piece of crumpled paper lying on the ground. He unfolded it carefully.
Dear Santa,
it said in tiny mouse letters.
I would like a hula hoop blanket. Hula hoop blanket.
Aha, said Santa. I see. Emmeline was the first to wake on Christmas morning. She squealed loudly and woke up George, Truffle, and the littlest mice. They all squealed too, for not only were they lying under the reddest, warmest, coziest blanket they had ever seen, they were lying on the most beautiful bed for mice in the world. Look at all the presents, Dusty.
Wow!
And Emmeline had her nurse's uniform. George had his chemistry set. The littlest mice had their tiny teddy bears, and Truffle had his hula hoop. He smiled happily, and on his whiskers there still clung a little bit of red fluff from the bottom of Santa's pocket.
That was a great story,
Well, Dusty, wasn't that a great story about Truffle the little mouse?
Yes, it sure was a cute story, Fairy.
And I'm so happy he got his wish. He got a hula hoop and a blanket.
Yes, everybody got what they wanted.
Well, you know, Dusty, I thought it would be a really fun thing to take the moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, out on a magical adventure.
Where, Story Fairy?
We're going to go to the Lacoste Garden Centre and follow the Stubbs family, Lee, Leanne,
And my new friend Lara.
as they pick out a Christmas tree.
Boy, sounds like fun, Story Fairy.
Let's go.
Ho, 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 ho.
Hi, welcome to Lacoste Garden Centre. We're going to show you a few different trees here today and just talk about what to look for when you're buying a live Christmas tree. So one of the first things to look for, of course, is just the shape. Simple as that, whatever appeals to you. You may have taste in a very large tree, a big round tree, or maybe perhaps some of the more thinner ones. And that can vary by type of tree or the different varieties that you may find. Another very important aspect of a tree is the needles. Now there's two main different types of trees to buy at Christmas. There's pines and there's fir trees. Fir trees will have the shorter needle. They typically have a longer lasting needle retention, and they also have a stronger smell or fragrance. The pine trees will have a larger needle, longer, and sometimes people know them as the ones that poke. They're prickly. Those are the Scots pine, and the white pine have a soft, long needle, and they are more traditional, perhaps, for a lot of, especially Manitoba families with the Scots pine. So one of the important things to do to make sure your tree lasts till Christmas, or till Ukrainian Christmas or New Year's, whenever you like to keep it up till, is putting a cut 1 to 2 inches on the trunk of the tree. What that'll do is it'll open up the pores, and if you make sure you put your tree in water within the hour or a few hours after doing that, that'll allow it to take up the water and to last till Christmas, keep it nice and fresh. Another tip that a lot of people don't know about is just like misting a houseplant. If you take a water mister and spray your tree, that'll keep it moist. It'll also bring out some of that fragrance in your tree. One thing we recommend is just using plain water, maybe a bit of a preservative, but avoiding some of the maybe homemade concoctions that a lot of people may have harmful things. We've heard of all sorts of homemade things to add to your water, but if you keep it simple and just use room temperature water in your tree, you'll have a healthy, long-lasting, fragrant tree till Christmas.
Well, Dusty, wasn't that a fun time watching Leanne,
And my new friend Lara,
pick out a Christmas tree at the Lacoste Garden Centre?
oh, it would look like a blast.
Well, you know, I thought we would read another story, and guess what this one's about?
I bet I could guess story, Fairy.
What?
It's about a Christmas tree.
It is about a Christmas tree, Dusty, and it's called A Wish to Be a Christmas Tree
Boy.
by Colleen Monroe and illustrated by Michael Glenn Monroe. So let's find out what happens in this story called A Wish to Be a Christmas Tree. Every year, as traditions go, they get in their cars at the first sign of snow and head to the farm at the edge of town to cut the family Christmas tree down.
Yeah.
As Christmas neared, the trees rejoiced, for families would come and make their choice. Which trees would go and which would stay? Oh, please pick me, the trees would say. Look at all the Christmas trees, Dusty.
There's lots of trees there. Boy, how do you pick a tree from a place like that?
Oh, it's just as many as there were at Lacoste Garden Centre.
Yeah.
Take me home, said the fat Scotch pine. Dress me with bulbs and lights, said the fir so fine. They all were excited except for one. He knew that his days of being picked were done.
I've seen my sisters and brothers and daughters and sons, grandkids and great-grandkids picked one by one. I'll never be taken home. I'm too big and too tall.
His sobbing and crying made his pine needles fall. A little squirrel was wandering by and stopped to hear the big tree cry. Take heart, my friend, and don't you fear. Too many of us, you are so dear. Your branches keep us safe and warm. You are our shelter from the storm. A cardinal flying by chirped in, you are my safety from the wind. Well, look at Dusty. The birds and the little squirrel look very, very happy to be beside the Christmas tree, don't they?
Yeah, he makes a great home for the birds.
Said a white-tailed deer who was walking through. Cheer up, big friend, because I need you. Your needles give me a nice soft bed, a place to lie down and rest my head.
These things you say to me are kind, but nothing can really change my mind. All my life I've wanted to be someone's special Christmas tree.
With that, he drew his branches in and closed his eyes to dream again and wished that someday he would be more than just a great big tree. Fast asleep in dreams far away, he did not hear the little squirrel say, "You will be our Christmas tree. Let us decorate you for all to see." "Come gather around," the little squirrel cried, to woodland animals both far and wide. "We need to act without delay to end our great big friend's dismay. He is our friend, this wonderful tree, and do you know where we would be without the special things he gives? I don't know how we would all live." Without ever complaining, he's given these things, yet never knowing the joy he brings, offering friendship from the very start, never once revealing the dream in his heart. Everyone should bring a treasure, so our giant friend can measure the love for him that our hearts hold, the feelings that were never told. Each animal came with gifts to bear, over ground, through the trees, and some through the air. With acorns, icicles, and berries so bright, they worked and trimmed into the night. Look at the Christmas tree now, Dusty.
Boy, what a difference. They're sure working hard at it.
I mean, he's really looking colorful.
Yeah.
The crows searched through their nests full of shiny things, hoping to find the perfect present to bring. There, among their treasures, found from afar, was the most beautiful, bright, and shining star.
Very nice.
His woodland friends decorated him with special things hanging from every limb. Acorns were dangling off branches strong. Berries were strung as a garland so long. The first morning sun brought a wondrous sight as icicles glimmered and captured the light. Colorful birds perched all over the pine, as beautiful as bulbs and just as fine. Blue jays as blue as a crisp winter day. Cardinals bright red perched near doves soft and gray. The birds were singing soft and clear their most beautiful songs for the pine tree to hear. The big tree stirred and opened his eyes, and what he saw was such a surprise.
You've made me beautiful for all to see, and now I am a real Christmas tree.
"You are more than just a Christmas tree," they said to him. "Why, can't you see? You are special to us every day of the year. We would be sad if you weren't always near. We're glad you stayed with us all these years, but we're sorry that it caused you tears. We should have told you the many ways you are special to us and brighten our days. Through the winter and spring, summer and fall, you're always here to help us all." With that, they gathered around the tree, and suddenly the tree could see it wasn't as important to be a Christmas tree, but to always be the best friend you could be. And every year to celebrate, they come together on that date to decorate from end to end the special tree that is their friend. What do you think now, Dusty? Look at them all decorated.
That was a great story, Fairy. And it just goes to show you always have to tell your friends how special they are.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Dusty, I know a beautiful way that the boys and girls can tell their woodland friends how special they are.
How's that?
Let's go do a craft at the craft table, and we can later have some little friends of ours decorate a tree in their own backyard.
Boy, oh boy!
Well, Dusty and boys and girls, here we are ready to make some ornaments for our backyard tree. Are you ready, Dusty?
It's a ram story, Fairy.
Well, boys and girls, these are some things that you can do with the help of your mom and dad at home. And I want to show you some really simple ones first that are very easy to make. Over here, we just sliced some apples and cut a hole in the center. And these are ready to hang on the tree. And the birds like to nibble on these, so we have some apple ornaments over here already made.
You know, Story Fairy, I bet some people get deer in their backyards too.
Oh, they do, and bunnies.
Yes.
Rabbits, of course, and squirrels. And so I didn't bring any peanuts here today, Dusty, but peanuts are also a really nice treat to put out for the blue jays and the squirrels.
And it's a healthy treat too, Story Fairy.
It's a very healthy treat. And also some dried corn. But some other ideas I have here for you this afternoon as well is taking either half of an orange peel, or what I have here is half of a grapefruit peel, and getting your moms or dads to poke a hole on each side. And then what we do is we just take some nice red cranberries, kind of like in our story when all the birds decorated the Christmas tree. And we just fill it up with some nice red cranberries right here. And to that we can also add some raisins. So a lot of the birds like to just come and use this as a special little bird feeder. So just put some of the raisins down in here.
What a neat idea. I've never seen anything like that before, Story Fairy.
Well, there you go. It's their very own special little ornament. So here we have the cranberries and raisins all ready to hang up on a tree with our apple slices. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do with the boys and girls this afternoon, and show the moms and dads too how easy this is to make. It's a little messy, but you know what? Sometimes having a little messy craft is a fun thing to do too. And Dusty, here's another idea for the boys and girls to make at home with their moms and dads, is just by simply taking a pine cone, and you can see I've tied a nice red ribbon right around the pine cone.
That's really neat, Story Fairy.
Well, it's going to look even neater, Dusty, because what we're going to do is we're going to make a nice treat for the birds. And what we're going to do is start off by taking some nice crunchy peanut butter. And of course, boys and girls, you want to make sure that it's safe for you to handle peanut butter.
Yum.
And we're just going to put in about a cup of peanut butter. Now, Dusty, I know that you love peanut butter.
Oh, I sure do, Story Fairy.
I
I'll stick my
know.
nose right in there.
Well, if you're really well behaved, maybe later what I'll let you do is lick the spoon.
Yay!
So it's really important, though. Well, I will see if you're really well behaved. We'll let you do that. It's really important to remember when you're mixing up peanut butter for the birds that you add in some cornmeal. And so what I'm doing is just adding in about half a cup of cornmeal to the peanut butter.
Story Fairy, I have a question.
Yes, Dusty?
Where are you adding the cornmeal?
Well, it's just easier for the birds to digest that way.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, I have a very good friend, and her name is Sherry over at the Preferred Perch, and she sells all sorts of wonderful bird treats. And she is just a wellstream of knowledge to speak to if you have any questions about which types of birds to attract into your yards and how to feed them.
Wow! So different bird eats different things?
That's right.
Okay.
So right now you can see that I've mixed the cornmeal in with the peanut butter, and now to that what I'm going to do is just put this over here, take some bird seed and put it down in the bottom of this big pan. So you want to have something with a nice high edge so there's no mess. So this bird seed has corn and sunflower seeds and all sorts of nice yummy things that birds love. And then another seed I'm adding right now is called black thistle seed. So I'm just adding this to our seed mixture. And maybe about half a cup or so of that, depending on how many pine cones that you have that you're wanting to decorate. And then, Dusty.
Story Fairy, I have another question.
Yes, Dusty.
Do you have any worms to feed the birds?
No, Dusty, I don't think worms would be a nice treat for them in the winter. They, first of all, aren't out there in the winter and ready and available for the birds to eat. So sometimes when it gets really cold, the birds are very happy to see that that we care enough to put out some treats for them.
Okay.
So that was a good question, though. But I know that the robins, when they come back in the spring, they really love the worms, right?
Right.
And some other birds as well. So now what I'm doing is I'm just spreading on that peanut butter and cornmeal mixture.
Boy, that looks tasty.
And it almost looks like a kind of a Christmas treat for you, doesn't it?
Sure does.
But we'll have to make yours later.
Okay.
Okay, so we want to make sure that we get a lot of this nice ooey gooey peanut butter with the cornmeal all spread on the ornament. And don't worry if your hands get a little peanut butter on them afterwards. We'll wipe them off. And now it's time to almost like making shake and bake, or another cookie recipe is just take the bird seed and put it all over the ornament.
Wow, what a neat idea, Story Fairy.
Yes, and see now, it's all ready for hanging on the
Wow.
tree. So, I have a few more ornaments to do here, Dusty, and the boys and girls at home have a good idea of how they can create some nice treats for Christmas for the birds and all the little animals in their backyard. And Dusty, that is going to bring so much magic to their tree and their backyards. Do you think that's a great idea for Christmas?
A super duper idea, Story Fairy.
And I think the trees are going to be very happy, too, to have all of those little woodland friends coming and sharing all the goodies on their branches this winter.
You're going to have a Christmas party.
They will.
With all kinds of goodies.
Well, Dusty, now that the Christmas ornaments are all made for the real Christmas tree outside, I think it's time to say goodbye, and you know what that means.
Yes, I sure do, Story Fairy.
It's time for the fairy promise. So boys and girls, moms and dad, raise your right hands and repeat after me. I promise
I promise
to be kind to others
to be kind to others
with my words,
with my words,
to always recycle
to always recycle
and feed the birds,
and feed the birds,
to see the magic all around,
to see the magic all around,
both in the sky
both in the sky
and on the ground.
and on the ground.
If I do these
If I do these
and other things,
and other things,
I will always hear
I will always hear
the whisper of wings.
the whisper of wings.
And now you're all honorary friends of the fairy, and Dusty the dragon too.
Yay!
See you next time when we go on another magical adventure. Merry Christmas, everyone.